Would you be the jerk for convincing your niece to move in with you and then charging her rent? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for saying my cousin's intellectual disability is probably because of the inbreeding? Throwaway account because I'm mortified. My 21-year-old female parents had a get-together lunch among close family members last Sunday. Me and my cousins were adding wedding dates from the piling invites to the calendars to make sure we don't miss any. I was joking about never understanding the familial ties in our native language, as in how you call cousins or aunts or just the word in our language, as I was used to learning those words in English. My grandma, through my mother, was joking about how I'm being too Western and was helping me connect how I was related to the people in the invites. 4 invites in, me on a roll with being too loose-mouthed from all the food I was eating, asked my dad how the father of the bride in the invite was related to him. He said, cousin, and I should have stopped there, but did I? No. I was bored, so I asked him to detail it more. He said, well, the bride's grandfather and his mother are siblings. He paused and added well, I would also be his bride's father, uncle too. Now listen, I know inbreeding used to be a thing, I know it used to happen. I didn't know it happened in mine, so I grimaced and started laughing uncomfortably. My uncle started explaining more, seeing my disgust. Long story short, my grandfather is my grandmother's uncle. My grandmother's mother and my grandfather are half-siblings. I edited it from step to half-siblings, I made a mistake in the wording. So my grandfather's dad and my grandmother's grandfather are the same person. Me and my cousin started making those gagging noises while pushing the invites away and grimacing while walking around, and our parents tried overcompensating with excuses. I know they don't owe explanations for the choices of their parents and the others preceding them. The generation above mine share the sentiment that inbreeding is a big no. I don't know why they kept defending it, but yeah. Here is where I said something freaked. I asked my dad if he realizes that his grandfather and his mother's grandfather are the same person. I added it with, you know, children born from inbreeding have higher chances of intellectual disabilities, right? My cousin added explains why my brother has that. And I immediately started nodding and said, exactly. My cousin does have mental disability and is nonverbal. Both me and my cousin were screamed at and told to come back home later. I know it's freak to say that, but me and my cousin were just getting more and more uncomfortable. We came back later and apologized, but my uncle and aunt refused to speak to me and my cousin. So, am I the jerk for saying that my cousin's intellectual disability is probably because of the inbreeding? Edit, adding this from the confusion in the comments. I sent this to my cousin and he asked me to add some more information. 1. They are blood related. I worded the post wrongly by using step-siblings. My grandmother's mother and grandfather are half-siblings with the same father. 2. One main reason for the disgust was me and my cousin already knew that my grandmother was 18 when my grandfather was in his early 40s when they got married. The age gap with the added knowledge that they are related was one of the main reasons. 3. Another reason why I spoke on it was because last September, we attended a wedding where the couple were second cousins and had blood relation, so while my parents and their cousins have moved away from this, others in our family still commit inbreeding. This was why I made the comment on intellectual disability for my parents defending it while inbreeding is a thing in the larger family circle. 4. I understand that I was being a jerk, and so does my cousin. Update, my cousin and I since posting this have talked to his parents about the incident. We apologized for the comments, and we're good. I just have to address this, me and my cousin weren't mocking our brother for the disability. My cousin's parents were hurt because the way it all went down made it look like we were blaming them. Me and my cousin apologized and said that we're more hung up on what happened between our grandparents and my dad excusing it. We made it clear that we knew that they were never at fault and apologized again. I had also mentioned about the wedding we attended recently being incestual and about intellectual disabilities, which led to my cousin making the comment about his brother. I love my cousin, and the cousin who made the comments definitely loves his brother. My uncle and aunt know that. My cousin is the closest person to him. My cousin has also gotten in multiple fights with other family members over comments they have made about his brother over the years. Both of us went too far with our comments, and his parents understood that it spiraled at the heat of the moment. My uncle at the end jokingly added that as a punishment, me and my cousin should be attending all the weddings we got invites for because both of us have a habit of skipping them. We are fine, but thanks for the comments. So I can definitely understand being weirded out by it, but it's so unjust and uncalled for, is it not, for OP to say what they said about their own cousin? Constant Ride 5382 commented on the post saying, "You are the jerk. Because your cousin's disability isn't his fault, nor is it his parents' fault. This inbreeding occurred generations ago. There's no guarantee that that played a role in your cousin's disability. I share your disgust, but you were being super obnoxious and embarrassing your family. They weren't defending it because they agree with it. Inbreeding is shameful, and people get defensive when people they love are attacked for something shameful. Next time, slow down and read the room." Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? Our next story is, am I the jerk for testifying against my brother in a custody case after he abandoned his child? I, 25-year-old female, have an older brother, 28-year-old male. Growing up, my mom spoiled him a lot and still has a habit of excusing his behavior because that's her son. This situation has completely fractured my family, and now I'm being told I'm a terrible sister. My brother was in a long-term relationship with his ex-girlfriend Lena, 27-year-old female. They have a son together who is now 5. Lena and I became very close during their relationship, and even after they broke up, I stayed involved in my nephew's life. I babysit, help with school stuff, and I'm basically one of his safe adults. When my nephew was around 2, my brother left. Not just emotionally, he abandoned them. He moved out, stopped helping financially, barely called, and eventually cut contact entirely after getting involved with another woman. Lena struggled a lot during that time, but she stepped up and did everything for their child on her own. My brother never paid consistent child support and would disappear for months at a time. Fast forward to last year, my brother suddenly reappears saying he misses his son and wants to be involved again. However, his first move wasn't apologizing or easing back in. He was demanding Lena's current address and threatening legal action. Lena had moved for safety and stability and didn't want him showing up unannounced, so she asked me not to give it out. When my brother asked me for her address, I refused. I told him that if he wanted to see his son, he needed to go through the proper legal channels and rebuild trust. He accused me of choosing his ex over him and said I was betraying family. Eventually, he found her address on his own and immediately filed for custody, asking for far more than he'd ever been involved enough to handle. The case went to court and I was asked to testify. I told the truth that he had been absent for years, that Lena was the primary and consistent parent, and that my brother only reappeared after starting a new relationship and wanting to look like a family man. The judge ruled against him. He didn't lose all rights, but he didn't get the custody arrangement he wanted. Now my brother's furious with me. He says I should have lied or at least kept my mouth shut because we're siblings. My mom agrees with him and keeps telling me I ruined his chances to start over and be a better father. She says family loyalty should come before outsiders, even when kids are involved. I don't feel guilty for telling the truth, especially when my nephew's stability was on the line, but being iced out by my mom and constantly attacked by my brother is wearing me down. So, am I the jerk for refusing to help my brother and testifying against him in court? I think the most important thing here is not that you are loyal to your brother here, but that OP is considerate of the best well-being outcome of those kids. OP knew the truth and they acted accordingly. Gerbil Milkshake commented, "Not the jerk. You did choose family loyalty. Your nephew. He's a child and you thought of what was best for him, not the 28-year-old who noped out on a whim and had nothing to do with his own son for several years. You chose the physical and emotional welfare of your nephew over your brother and his nonsense. Good on you." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not making my cookie table allergen-free? I'm hosting the family for Christmas Eve, and I've always done a cookie table instead of a dessert. Overall, I love to bake, and there are usually around 15 different types of cookies. My son recently got married, and I have 2 step-grandkids now. They're 8 and 10. They're allergic to peanuts. If it gets on their skin, they're fine, but if they eat it, they get a bad rash and swell up. They don't really listen to anyone, and it has caused issues before. My plan for this year was to keep the cookies with peanut butter on one table and the other cookies on another. Everything was going to be labeled also. I wasn't going to cook them at the same time either to avoid cross-contamination. I told my son the plan, and he didn't have any issue with it. He said he would talk to the kids. My daughter-in-law called me up and wasn't happy with the plan. She told me I can't have anything with peanut butter at the event. I told her no because a lot of people like these cookies. I already made a few batches. She continued to argue, and I told her to just watch the kids, and at 8 or 10, they should know well enough not to eat what they're allergic to. She called me a jerk over it and that I will be tempting them since they're cookies. My son contacted me after, saying I should have more tact even if he agreed it should be fine. He said the kids already know not to eat their allergen, and they don't have an issue at school with this. Edit, common questions I've seen. Yes, the school allows nuts. No, the kids don't have airborne reactions to nuts. Confused why people think this. What type of swelling? Their face gets red and their face is puffy. No, they've never had their throat close. She told me this when I first met them and asked about it. Yes, everything will be labeled. Cross-contamination shouldn't be a problem at all. I'm cleaning between cookies and their allergies aren't strong enough to be affected by that in the first place. Mom has never been worried about cross-contamination anywhere. We've gone to many restaurants that serve peanuts and she never mentions it. Didn't even come up as a reason. She claimed I would be tempting them. Are there nuts in their house? Yes, my son eats them. I'm gonna say OP's not the jerk here. I do think they're old enough to not willingly ingest the poison they know is poison to them. I think the daughter-in-law needs to do a better job embracing their responsibility as a parent. Would OP be in the wrong if they went ahead and served those peanut butter cookies separately? Modern Margaret Sanger commented, "Your daughter-in-law is setting those kids up for a trip to the ER or worse, because she refuses to parent them so that they are responsible about what they eat. She is the jerk here." Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling a coworker to stop commenting on my snack choices? Some backstory, my work provides snacks for employees regularly and keeps our break room well stocked. There's not a supply issue in play here. I also regularly drink a particular soda and don't stray from that unless I'm drinking water. I tend to bring my own since I drink it at home as well, and me partaking in the company-provided snacks and drinks isn't keeping anyone else from getting something. On more than one occasion, coworkers have commented on my soda consumption, asking things like, "What number is that?" etc. I usually brush it off, even though I hate it and actually find it quite rude. Granted, I have a long-standing issue with questions like that because my dad is notorious of it, but I know, of course, others don't know that, and I can't expect anyone to automatically know it's a trigger of sorts. Prior to this, I did finally mention that I didn't find humor in the comments and don't like it. Short, sweet, and to the point. A few weeks ago, I was at work in a common area eating a fruit roll-up. A coworker kind of laughed and then said to me, "How many of those have you eaten today?" Maybe I was already in a bad mood or something, but it was irritating and I was tired of it. I turned to this coworker and said something along the lines of, "I don't understand why it's any of your business." To me, commenting on what others eat is similar to commenting on their body and it isn't appropriate. I would never do that to you, and I would appreciate it if you would stop doing it to me. She didn't respond. She honestly looked ticked off or offended, but I didn't care. I moved on and mostly forgot about it. Fast forward to last week, my manager pulled me aside and said I made the previously mentioned coworker cry. I explained the situation, and she said, "They just care about you, and you could have said it nicer." I explained that I have said it nicer previously, and the comments continued. I'm not in trouble or anything, but ultimately got pulled into my manager's office for being a mean girl, even though someone else was being insulting. Am I the jerk? I don't fault OP for this one because I experienced a very similar thing growing up, so if I were in OP's position, I would have a similar insecurity about it too. I don't particularly enjoy the idea of being asked, "Oh, how many sodas have you put back today? Gee, Steven, you really can put down those fruit roll-ups, can't you?" Cat's mom forever commented, "Not the jerk. Tell your manager that your coworker is creating a hostile work environment by constantly criticizing your food consumption and trying to hide it by claiming it was good intentions. She's not your mommy or your personal trainer, and if she does it again, you will file a complaint with HR. Then she will really have something to cry about. Our next story is, am I the jerk for getting my niece to move in with me, then charging her rent? A few months ago, my niece, Charlotte, 20, called me saying that she was kicked out after an argument with her mom. She was saying that she was already paying $500 per month and they were asking her to pay another $300 while not charging her siblings anything. I called her parents to get their side of the story. My brother immediately said to send her back because his wife didn't mean it when she told Charlotte to get out. After a while, he did confirm what Charlotte said about having to pay, but tried to justify it by saying that she could afford it because she was working and that their car insurance went up because she was in a car accident. So minor that there was no damage to her car and you had to zoom in to see the scratch on the other car, ignoring the fact that all of their kids had been in accidents, including one of them totaling their car and causing significant damage to 2 others, and then being given a new car 2 weeks later. I told Charlotte she was welcome to live with me and the girls, so we went back to her parents' house, packed her stuff, got her important documents, returned her car, and took her back to my house. I got her a bank account that's only in her name, loaned her money to buy a newish car, and helped her enroll in community college. She's studying early childhood education, teaches a mommy and me class once a week, and she babysits 2 to 4 days a week. Before she agreed to move in, I told her she was going to help contribute, but nothing like her parents. She pays me $250 per month in rent. This goes into an account that's only going to be saved and invested for her. She has access to the account. She also pays $100 per month for groceries. She gets $50 per month from the school for groceries, so she really only pays $50. I split her car insurance with her, which on her new plan comes out to $170 per month. Her share is $85. I loaned her $4,500 for her car, so she's paying me $150 per month to pay that off. Gas is around $80 per month, but she gets another $50 per month from school, so for now it's $30. Then we talked about how much she makes from her class and babysitting, how many hours per month she needs to work to cover her expenses, and how much she should work so she can have spending money and money put aside in case she has a bad month. Charlotte still speaks to her siblings and was talking about living with me, paying for herself, and learning how to budget. Now her parents are furious that I convinced her to move out over paying rent when I'm having her do the same thing. Am I the jerk for having her pay rent and other expenses? So in my eyes, OP is the most important person in Charlotte's life right now. I mean, what OP's doing is kind of like the stuff I feel like kids should learn in school. How to budget, how to plan accordingly, getting jobs to support yourself, making sure your finances are set up that you have spending money but also some set aside for a rainy day. Oobalicious the Wise commented, paying rent at a cheaper rate with cheaper overheads, cash coming back to her, a loan, and learning a life skill in budgeting? You're a godsend. Not the jerk, her parents are just ticked that you're showing them up. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my mother-in-law we're not paying for her appliances? So I, 25-year-old female, live with my husband, 25-year-old male, and his family. His family consists of his mother, who I'll be referring to as mother-in-law, and 2 older brothers, Kevin, 30, and Alan, 27. For some background, I would consider my husband's family being very close-knit, being that they always had movie nights, game nights, and dinner together the majority of nights. I also got along well with my mother-in-law before this situation. We recently got married and decided to move in with my husband's family because we want to save up for a house while I also finish my education. Of course, before making this decision, we had sat together as a family and discussed what everyone thought and if everyone agreed. Additionally, during this conversation, we had specified that we would have a timeline to move out even if we weren't because we purchased a home. When I moved in about 4 months ago, we as a family decided to split every bill equally and that mother-in-law would send a text letting everyone know the total for the month. Well, last month, mother-in-law decided to purchase some appliances for the home. This wasn't discussed as a family, and most of us didn't even know until a few days before they arrived. When we found out about this, my husband and Kevin both separately spoke to mother-in-law to make sure this was an individual purchase instead of a family one, because none of our appliances were broken or non-functional. She in both cases just stated that it was her purchase and left it at that. A month goes by and mother-in-law sends the bill text and Kevin notices that the appliances have been added. He sends a text asking why it's on the bill and that this needs to be discussed. Mother-in-law's only reply to this is, since we all use the appliances, we should all pay for it. Since Kevin, my husband, and I were home, we have a conversation and decide to send the money excluding the appliance cost. To my knowledge, Alan just goes with whatever mother-in-law says and probably sent the full amount. Fast forward a few hours, and mother-in-law comes home furious, but after some time, we all just state that we aren't going to pay for appliances we didn't need and had previously clarified we weren't paying for. I left most of my commentary for my husband to handle so it wouldn't come off as me trying to attack her or intrude on her home. However, I did clarify at a certain point that it just didn't sit well with my husband and I that she would just add that to the bill with no previous conversation and never even mentioning it. This being amplified because my husband and I trusted her completely and never looked at the breakdown cost she would include with the bills. We would just see the total and send it. She said we're being unreasonable and that we should be grateful because moving out would be way more expensive. Then, after a few days, just proceeded to ask my husband, when do we plan on moving out, and started sending passive-aggressive texts and rentals showing how expensive everything is. So am I the jerk for basically telling her we're not paying for her appliances? If I were in their shoes, I would be fighting this tooth and nail to assert I am in no way responsible for any of that money. I'm not paying a cent for appliances that I never agreed to purchase. I would probably even be willing to go to the lengths of not using those appliances just if that somehow made them feel better. Direct Eye commented, "Your mother-in-law is trying to pull one over on you. Bills mean regular household bills, not major expenditures. Does she expect you to pay a share if she decides to upgrade her bathroom or even put in an addition? Move now, she's toxic passive-aggressive." Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my stepdaughters to allow me to stay on the first floor? My husband and I have been married for 3 years. His daughters are 16 and 17. I've always tried to get along with the girls. They're polite and their mother is really kind. My husband's house has 2 floors. The girls have their room on the first floor and my husband slept on the second floor. When I moved in, we still lived that way, as it was honestly not a nuisance to me. The problem is that I'm pregnant now. It is a risky pregnancy, and I have to be at rest all the time. So climbing the stairs scares me, and the doctor said that it would be good if I tried not to climb them for now. My plan was to offer one of the girls to sleep on the second floor, and me and my husband would sleep in one of their bedrooms for now. They come 4 days a week lately, so I didn't think it would be too much of a hassle for them. We also offered to change the beds. They both got angry and said that we can't kick them out of their bedroom since that's their part of the house. My husband always told them that that part of the house is totally theirs. I have no problem with it since they are his daughters. Basically, the only thing we share is the dining room and kitchen since they have a bathroom. My husband basically told me that he can't force them to do so, so I'm on my own in this. They don't want to go upstairs because according to them, it's too small and it'll be a hassle to have to climb the stairs all the time to get their things. My husband always told them that that part of the house is 100% theirs, so it's literally like a separate part of the house. I never even went into their bathroom. The only problem is that I just need them to do that favor for me until the doctor tells me that my pregnancy is out of risk. We even plan to make the room for the baby upstairs so as to not bother them. The girls reacted so badly that it made me think I'm behaving like an evil stepmother. Edit, I appreciate the advice, but please don't tell me to leave the house for a hotel. I'm going to have a baby. I don't have the money to pay for lodging. Please note that in my country, $1 is equal to 1,400 in the national coin. The doctor's words were absolute rest. No cleaning, no exercise, no sudden movements, and he recommended that I avoid stairs. Yes, I had the idea to sleep in the living room, but my bathroom is upstairs and they don't want to share their bathroom. Yes, visitors must go to the upstairs bathroom. Plus, my older stepdaughter said it would be tacky to do that since she brings friends home. Also, my husband doesn't have a spine, and I'm trying not to get stressed. So, unfortunately, as much as he said that part is 100% irrevocably theirs, it's the husband's house, and it's also the husband's baby as well, and he's got to make it clear to their kids there's just not a workable alternative. Are those daughters really going to hate their dad for an unending amount of time because they did what they had to do to look out for their pregnant wife? I mean, the sheer horror of having to walk upstairs to your bedroom now, oh no. Effable Fornant commented, "My husband basically told me he can't force them to do so I'm on my own in this." No. You're his wife, carrying his child? If you're on your own, then you're no longer together. You can all work together as a family to navigate this, but he doesn't just get to throw his hands up at the slightest pushback and bow out of his family responsibilities. Not the jerk. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing my landlord's mandatory maid and insisting my husband join our calls? I, female, 20s, recently moved into a furnished studio apartment in the Caribbean. My husband is a co-tenant on the lease, but is currently working abroad, so I'm here alone most of the time. I work from home and have a very strict schedule. The conflict, since I moved in, my landlord, let's call him Jay, has been pushing for a mandatory monthly maid service. When I checked my lease, it says he paid for a maid, but it never says I'm required to let her in. When I questioned him, Jay admitted it was an oversight and not actually in the contract. I later found out the maid is actually his aunt. I feel like this is a spy mission to check up on me because he keeps telling me stories about how the last tenants broke a light switch. Because I refused the maid, Jay now insists on coming in personally every month for inspections. I told him that was fine, but since my husband is on the lease and pays the rent, I requested that Jay include him in our group chat and all discussions. Jay has been completely ignoring my messages about my husband. He won't reply to him in the group chat and only tries to message me privately. He also has his read receipts off, so I never know if he's seen my concerns about the broken washing machine, which hasn't worked right since day one. Where I might be the jerk, Jay's coming over this Thursday to inspect the place. I've decided to have my husband on a permanent video call the entire time Jay is in my house so he can't corner me or ignore my husband's presence. I also have a security camera running inside the apartment because I'm nervous he's going to go through my personal drawers, where my underwear and clothes are, under the guise of checking the furniture. I feel like I'm being difficult by refusing the help of a maid and forcing a video call, but I also feel like my privacy is being invaded. Am I the jerk for setting these boundaries when the landlord claims he's just protecting his property? I don't think OP's the jerk here, and I think it's incredibly creepy, weird, and invasive what the landlord is doing here. Monthly inspections? I imagine it varies by law, but I guess if they give enough advance notice every time, they're legally allowed to at least show up, right? Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to hold my sister-in-law's giant drink bottles? My wife and our 3 daughters are obsessed with those massive Stanley/Frank Green drink bottles, the ones that take a full working day to finish. Whenever we go to community events, parks, school stuff, literally anywhere without a table, I somehow become the designated drink bottle valet. Not ideal, but manageable. Recently, my sister-in-law moved to town. She and her 2 daughters also love these oversized drink bottles. She's noticed that I'm always the guy holding everyone else's, and has started casually adding hers to the pile. So now, at events, I'm stuck on a park bench guarding 7 giant drink bottles, unable to move without abandoning hydration for an entire family. When it's just my girls, I could still move around the event and look at stuff. Fast forward to tonight. We're at my daughter's dance concert. My sister-in-law wants to go take photos, walks up, and goes to hand me her drink bottle like it's automatic, and I simply said, no. She looked confused, took it back, and shockingly just put it back down next to her where she was taking the photos. My wife witnessed this go down and later quizzed me on why I said no. I simply told her I'm done being the drink bottle caddy. I miss out on so much stuff because I get lumped with everyone's drink bottles, and your sister has been adding to the pile, so I put an end to it. If she wants to bring a giant drink bottle that makes no sense, then she carries it all night long. She made a comment about how her sister would be going home wondering why, and asked when I've gotten lumped with all the drink bottles, so I highlighted a few events, and she seemed to accept it. So, am I the jerk for finally refusing to be the unpaid drink bottle storage unit? Yeah, I think OP's not the jerk here. I feel like a lot of guys out there may have experienced being the purse holders, and even that isn't the most fun thing, even though they've usually got a strap that you can just kind of throw over your neck or something. I don't understand how they don't see how unfair they're being to OP. It would be really frustrating to me to lug those water bottles around. OK Stable 7501 commented, "You need to get everyone water bottle slings for Christmas, then retire, not the jerk." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.